The Douglas A-26 Invader, designated B-26 between 1948 and 1965, is an American twin-engined light bomber and ground attack aircraft. Built by Douglas Aircraft Company during World War II, the Invader also saw service during several major Cold War conflicts. A limited number of highly modified United States Air Force aircraft served in Southeast Asia until 1969. It was a fast aircraft capable of carrying a large bomb load. A range of guns could be fitted to produce a formidable ground attack aircraft. A redesignation of the type from A-26 to B-26 led to confusion with the Martin B-26 Marauder, which first flew in November 1940, some 20 months before the Douglas design's maiden flight. Although both types were powered by the widely used Pratt & Whitney R2800 double WASP 18-cylinder, double-row radial engine, they were completely different and separate designs. The Martin bomber originated in 1939, with more than twice as many Marauders, nearly 5,300, produced in comparison to the Douglas design. Design and development. The A-26 was Douglas Aircraft's successor to the A-20, DB-7, Havoc, also known as Douglas Boston, one of the most successful and widely operated types flown by Allied air forces in World War II. Designed by Ed Heinemann, Robert Donovan, and Ted R. Smith, the innovative NACA 65-215 laminar flow airfoil wing of the A-26 was the work of project aerodynamicist A.M.O. Smith. The Douglas XA-26 prototype, AAC SER No. 41-19504, first flew on July 10, 1942 at Mines Field, El Segundo, with test pilot Benny Howard at the controls. Flight tests revealed excellent performance and handling, but engine cooling problems led to cowling changes and elimination of the propeller spinners on production aircraft. Repeated collapses during testing led to reinforcement of the nose landing gear. The A-26 was originally built in two different configurations. The A-26B had a gun nose, which originally could be equipped with a combination of armament including .50 caliber machine guns, 20 mm or 37 mm autocannon, or even a 75 mm pack howitzer, which was never used operationally. Normally the gun nose version housed 6, or later 8.50 caliber machine guns, officially termed the all-purpose nose, later commonly known as the 6-gun nose or 8-gun nose. The A-26CS glass nose, officially termed the bombardier nose, contained a Norden bomb sight for medium-altitude precision bombing. The A-26C nose section included two fixed M2 guns, later replaced by underwing gun packs or internal guns in the wings. After about 1,570 production aircraft, 3 guns were installed in each wing, coinciding with the introduction of the 8-gun nose for A-26BS, giving some configurations as many as 14.50 in, 12.7 mm, machine guns in fixed forward mounts. An A-26C nose section could be replaced with an A-26B nose section, or vice versa, in a few man-hours, thus physically, and officially, changing the designation and operational role. The flat-topped canopy was changed in late 1944 after about 820 production aircraft, to a clamshell style with greatly improved visibility. Alongside the pilot in an A-26B, a crew member typically served as navigator and gun loader for the pilot-operated nose guns. In an A-26C, that crew member served as navigator and bombardier, and relocated to the nose section for the bombing phase of an operation. A small number of A-26CS were fitted with dual flight controls, some parts of which could be disabled in flight to allow limited access to the nose section. Access was through the lower section of the right-hand instrument panel, which was open to allow access to the nose for the bombardier, who would normally sit next to the pilot. This was similar to British designs like the Lancaster, Blenheim/Beaufort, Wellington, etc. A tractor-style jump seat was located behind the navigator's seat. In most missions, a third crew member in the rear gunner's compartment operated the remotely controlled dorsal and ventral gun turrets, with access to and from the cockpit possible via the bomb bay only when that was empty. The gunner operated both dorsal and ventral turrets via a novel and complex, and problematic, dual-ended periscope sight, which was a vertical column running through the center of the rear compartment, with traversing and elevating/depressing periscope sights on each end. The gunner sat on a seat facing rearward, and looked into a binocular periscope sight mounted on the column, controlling the guns with a pair of handles on either side of the column. When aiming above the center line of the aircraft, the mirror in the center of the column would flip, showing the gunner what the upper periscope was seeing. When he pressed the handles downward, as the bead passed the center line, the mirror would automatically flip, transferring the sight seamlessly to the lower periscope. The guns would aim wherever the periscope was aimed, automatically transferring between upper and lower turrets as required, and computing for parallax and other factors. While novel and theoretically effective, a great deal of time and trouble was spent trying to get the system to work effectively, which delayed production, and it was difficult to keep maintained in the field even once production started. Operational history. World War II. Pacific. The Douglas Company began delivering the production model A-26B to the United States Army Air Forces, USAF, on September 10, 1943, with the new bomber first seeing action with the 5th Air Force in the Southwest Pacific Theater on June 23, 1944, when Japanese-held islands near Manokwari were attacked. The pilots in the 3rd Bomb Group's 13th Squadron, the Grim Reapers, who received the first 4 A-26s for evaluation, found the view from the cockpit to be restricted by the engines and thus inadequate for low-level attack. General George Kenney, commander of the Far East Air Forces, stated that, "We do not want the A-26 under any circumstances as a replacement for anything." Until changes could be made, the 3D Bomb Group requested additional Douglas A-20 Havocs, although both types were used in composite flights. The 319th Bomb Group worked up on the A-26 in March 1945, joining the initial 3rd BG, with the 319th flying until August 12, 1945. The A-26 operations wound down in mid-August 1945 with only a few dozen missions flown. Several of the A-20 and B-25 AAF units in the Pacific received the A-26 for trials, in limited quantities. Europe. Douglas needed better results from the Invader's second combat test, so A-26s began arriving in Europe in late September 1944 for assignment to the 9th Air Force. The initial deployment involved 18 aircraft and crews assigned to the 553D Squadron of the 386th Bomb Group. This unit flew its first mission on September 6, 1944. No aircraft were lost on the 8 test missions, and the 9th Air Force announced that it was happy to replace all of its A-20s and B-26s with the A-26 Invader. The first group to fully convert to the A-26B was 416th Bombardment Group, with which it entered combat on November 17, and the 409th Bombardment Group, whose A-26s became operational in late November. Due to a shortage of A-26C variants, the groups flew a combined A-20/A-26 unit until deliveries of the glass nose version caught up. Besides bombing and strafing, tactical reconnaissance and night interdiction missions were undertaken successfully. In contrast to the Pacific-based units, the A-26 was well received by pilots and crew alike, and by 1945, the 9th AF had flown 11,567 missions, dropping 18,054 tons of bombs, recording 7 confirmed kills while losing 67 aircraft. In Italy, the 12th Air Force's 47th Bomb Group also received the A-26, starting in January 1945. They were used against German transport links, but also for direct support and interdiction against tanks and troop concentrations in the Po Valley in the final campaigns in Italy. Post-war era. United States. With the establishment of the United States Air Force as an independent service in 1947, the Strategic Air Command operated the now redesignated B-26 as an RB-26 reconnaissance aircraft in service from 1949 through 1950. U.S. Air Forces in Europe continued operating the redesignated B-26 until 1957, and the Tactical Air Command operated the aircraft as both a B-26 and later redesignated back to A-26, the final variant designated as B-26K until 1966, when it again became the A-26A. This final version continued in service through the late 1960s with active-duty Special Operations TAC units, and through 1972 with TAC-gained Special Operations units of the Air National Guard. The U.S. Navy also obtained a number of Invaders from the Air Force and employed these aircraft in their utility squadrons, VU, for target towing and general utility use until superseded by the DC-130A variant of the C-130 Hercules. The Navy designation was JD-1 and JD-1D until 1962, when the JD-1 was redesignated UB-26J and the JD-1D was redesignated DB-26J. The CIA also used the type for covert operations. The last A-26 in active U.S. service was assigned to the Air National Guard, that aircraft being retired from military service in 1972 by the U.S. Air Force and the National Guard Bureau and donated to the National Air and Space Museum. Korean War. B-26 Invaders of the 3D Bombardment Group, operating from bases in southern Japan, were among the first U.S. Air Force aircraft engaged in the Korean War, carrying out missions over South Korea on 27 and June 28, before carrying out the first U.S. Air Force bombing mission on North Korea on June 29, 1950, when they bombed an airfield outside of Pyongyang. On August 10, 1950, the Air Force Reserve's 452D Bombardment Wing was activated for Korean service. It flew its first missions in November 1950 from Itazuke, Japan, providing daylight support, with the 3rd Bomb Wing, consisting of the 8th, 13th, and 90th Bomb Squadrons, flying night missions. Because of the Chinese intervention, it was forced to find another base and moved to Miho Air Base on the west coast of Hanche. In early 1951 it moved to Pusan East, K9, Air Base and continued its daylight as well as night intruder missions. In June 1951, it joined the 3rd Bomb Wing, Kunsan, K8, in night activity only, dividing the target areas, with the 452nd taking the eastern half and the 3rd the western. For its efforts in the Korean War, it was awarded 2 unit citations and the Korean Presidential Citation. It also received credit for 8 campaign operations. In May 1952 it was inactivated and all of its aircraft and equipment along with its regular Air Force personnel were absorbed by the 17th Bomb Wing. During its time as an active unit, the 452nd flew 15,000 sorties, 7,000 at night, with a loss of 85 crewmen. B-26s were credited with the destruction of 38,500 vehicles, 406 locomotives, 3,700 railway trucks, and 7 enemy aircraft on the ground. On September 14, 1951, Captain John S. Walmsley, Jr. attacked a supply train. When his guns jammed, he illuminated the target with his searchlight to enable his wingmen to destroy the train. Walmsley was shot down and posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Invaders carried out the last U.S. Air Force bombing mission of the war 24 minutes before the Armistice Agreement was signed on June 27, 1953. In addition to the standard attack versions of the B-26 which flew night interdiction missions, a small number of modified WB-26S and RB-26S of the 67th Tactical Reconnaissance Wing flew critical weather observation and reconnaissance missions in supporting roles. Southeast Asia. The first B-26S to arrive in Southeast Asia were deployed to Takli-Ratap, Thailand in December 1960. These unmarked aircraft, operated under the auspices of the US CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, were soon augmented by an additional 16 aircraft, 12 B-26Bs and B-26Cs plus 4 RB-26Cs under Operation Milpond. The mission of all of these aircraft was to assist the Royal Lao government in fighting the Pathet Lao. The repercussions from the Bay of Pigs invasion meant that no combat missions are known to have been flown, although RB-26Cs operated over Laos until the end of 1961. The aircraft were subsequently operated in South Vietnam under Project Farmgate. The only other deployment of B-26 aircraft to Laos prior to the introduction of the B-26K/A-26A, was the deployment of 2 RB-26C aircraft, specifically modified for night reconnaissance, deployed to Laos between May and July 1962 under Project Black Watch. These aircraft, initially drawn from farm gate stocks, were returned upon the end of these missions. The aircraft from Laos participated in the early phase of the Vietnam War with the U.S. Air Force, but with Vietnamese markings as part of Project Farm Gate. Though Farm Gate operated B-26BS, B-26CS, and genuine RB-26CS, many of these aircraft were operated under the designation RB-26C, though they were used in a combat capacity. During 1963, 2 RB-26C were sent to Clarkab in the Philippines for modifications, though not with night systems as with those modified for Black Watch. The 2 aircraft returned from Black Watch to Farm Gate were subsequently given the designation RB-26L to distinguish them from other modified RB-26C, and were assigned to Project Sweet Sioux. Farm Gate's B-26S operated alongside the other primary strike aircraft of the time, the T-28 Trojan, before both aircraft types were replaced by the Douglas A-1 Skyraider. The B-26S were withdrawn from service in February 1964 after 2 accidents related to wing spar fatigue, one during combat in Southeast Asia in August 1963 and one during an air power demonstration at Eglin AFB, Florida in February 1964. On February 11, 1964, 2 pilots from the 1st Air Commando Wing stationed at Hurlburt Field, FLA, died in the crash of a B-26 on Range 52 at Eglin AFB when it lost a wing during pull-out from a strafing pass. The aircraft was participating in a demonstration of the Special Air Warfare Center's counterinsurgency capabilities and had completed a strafing run when the accident occurred. SAWC had presented the demonstration on an average of twice each month for the previous 21 months. B-26 aircraft used by U.S. Air Force commandos in Vietnam were grounded April 8, 1964, following an official investigation into the February 11 accident. B-26 aircraft in use by the South Vietnamese Air Force were also grounded in accordance with the U.S. ruling. In response to this, the On-Mark Engineering Company of Van Nuys, California was selected by the Air Force to extensively upgrade the Invader for a counterinsurgency role. The first production flight of the B-26K was on May 30, 1964 at the Van Nuys Airport. On-Mark converted 40 Invaders to the new B-26K counter-Invader standard, which included upgraded engines, propellers, and brakes, remanufactured wings, and wingtip fuel tanks, for use by the 609th Special Operations Squadron. In May 1966, the B-26K was redesignated A-26A for political reasons. Thailand did not allow the U.S. to have bombers stationed in country at the time, so the Invaders were redesignated with an A, for attack aircraft, and deployed in Thailand to help disrupt supplies moving along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. 2 of these aircraft were further modified with a forward-looking infrared, FLIR system, under Project Lonesome Tiger, as a part of Operation Shed Light. CIA. In early 1961, about 20 B-26BS, most converted from B-26C configuration, were sanitized at Duke Field, also known as Auxiliary Field 3 at Eglin AFB, Florida. They had defensive armament removed, and were fitted with the 8-gun nose, under-wing drop tanks, and rocket racks. They were flown to a CIA-run base in Guatemala where training was underway of B-26, C-46, and C-54 Cuban exile air crews by personnel from the Alabama Air National Guard. After transfer to Nicaragua in early April 1961, they were painted in the markings of the FAR, Fuerza Aérea Revolucionaria, the Air Force of the Cuban government. On April 15, 1961, crewed by Cuban exiles, 8 B-26s of the FAL, Fuerza Aérea de Liberación, attacked 3 Cuban airfields, in an attempt to destroy FAR combat aircraft on the ground. On April 17, 1961, FAL B-26s supported the seaborne Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba. The conflict ended on April 19, after the loss of 9 FAL B-26s, 10 Cuban exiles and 4 American aircrew in combat. The FAR flew B-26Cs in the conflict, one of which was shot down by a CIA command ship with the loss of 4 Cuban aircrew. The CIA contracted pilots, some previously employed during the Bay of Pigs invasion, to fly B-26Ks for ground attack against Simba rebels in the Congo crisis. Newly remanufactured B-26K counter-invaders were delivered to the Congo via Hurlburt Field in 1964. France. In the 1950s, the French Air Forces, Armée de l'Air, bombing groups, Groupe de Bombardement, including Bombardment Group I/19 Gascogne, GB-I/19, and GB-1 25th Tunisia, used B-26 during the First Indochina War lent to France by the United States Air Force. Cat Bai, Haiphong, based Douglas B-26 invaders operated over Dien Bien Phu in March and April 1954 during the Siege of Dien Bien Phu. In this period, a massive use of Philippines-based U.S. Air Force B-26s against the Viet Minh heavy artillery was planned by the U.S. and French Joint Chief of Staff as Operation Vulture, but was eventually cancelled by the respective governments. Indonesia. Concerned about Indonesian President Sukarno's communist leanings, the CIA started Operation Hike in 1958 to overthrow his guided democracy in Indonesia regime. The covert OP committed at least a dozen B-26 invaders in support of rebel forces. On May 18, 1958, American contract pilot Alan Pope's blacked-out B-26 was initially hit by anti-aircraft ground fire and then brought down by a North American P-51 Mustang flown by Captain Ignatius Dewanto, the only known air-to-air kill in the history of the Indonesian Air Force. The capture and trial of Lieutenant Pope brought a quick end to Operation Hike, but the capabilities of the invader were not lost on the Indonesian government. In 1959, the government purchased 6 aircraft at Davis Monthan AFB, which were ferried to Indonesia in full military markings during mid-1960. Utilized in a number of actions against rebels in various areas, these aircraft would go on to long follow-up careers. The last operational flights of 3 final survivors was in 1976, supporting the Indonesian invasion of East Timor. In 1977, the last 2 flying aircraft were retired. Portugal. The Portuguese Air Force purchased invaders covertly for use in Portuguese Angola in 1965, during the Portuguese Colonial War. Biafra. Biafra used 2 provisionally armed B-26s in combat during Nigerian Civil War in 1967, flown among others by Jan Zumbach. Variants. Douglas/U.S military variants. The large majority of the A-26/B-26 Invaders production run of 2,452 were early A-26BS and A-26CS. XA-26. Serial No. 41 to 19,504 served as the prototype for the series, initially flown with dummy armament. XA-26A. Serial No. 41 to 19,505 served as a prototype night fighter with a crew of 2, pilot plus radar operator/gunner. XA-26B. Serial No. 41 to 19,588 was a prototype solid-nosed attack variant with crew of 3, pilot, gun loader/navigator, in front cockpit, plus gunner in rear, and carrying a forward-firing 75 mm, 2.75 in, cannon. A-26B. Attack bomber with solid nose carrying 6 or 8 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, machine guns. Production totals: 1,355 A-26Bs were built and delivered, 205 at Tulsa, Oklahoma, A-26B5DT to A-26B25DT, plus 1,150 at Long Beach, California, A-26B1DL to A-26B66DL. About 24 more airframes were built at Long Beach but not delivered to USAF, some of those later sold to other civil and military customers. A-26B was redesignated B-26B with U.S. Air Force in 1948. TB-26B. Unarmed variant converted from B-26B for training purposes. VB-26B. Unarmed variant converted from B-26B for administrative purposes. A-26C. Attack bomber. Production totals: 1,091 A-26Cs were built and delivered, 5 at Long Beach, California, A-26C-1DL and A-26C-2DL, plus 1,086 at Tulsa, Oklahoma, A-26C-16DT to A-26B-55DT. About 53 more airframes were built at Tulsa but not delivered to USAF, some of those later sold to other civil and military customers. A-26C was redesignated B-26C with U.S. Air Force in 1948. RB-26C. Unarmed photo reconnaissance variant converted from B-26C, it carried cameras and flash flares for night photography. Designated FA-26C prior to 1962. TB-26C. Unarmed variant converted from B-26C for training purposes. XA-26D. Serial No. 44 to 34776 prototype for the proposed A-26D attack bomber with uprated Chevrolet-manufactured R2800-83 engines, and late model A-26B armament of 80.50 in, 12.7 mm, machine guns in solid nose and 60.50 in, 12.7 mm, guns in the wing. Series of 750 A-26DS was cancelled after VJ Day. XA-26E. Serial No. 44 to 25563 prototype for the A-26E attack bomber. As with the XA-26D but with an A-26C type glass nose, a contract for 2,150 A-26E DTs was cancelled following VJ Day. XA-26F. Serial No. 44 to 34586 prototype for a high-speed A-26F powered by two 2100 HP, 1600 kilowatts, R2800-83 engines driving four-bladed propellers with a 1600 lbf, 7.1 knots, ST General Electric J31 turbojet installed in the rear fuselage. The prototype reached a top speed of 435 miles per hour, 700 km per hour, but the series was cancelled as performance gains were not sufficient. A-26Z. Unofficial designation for a proposed post-war production version of the A-26. It was to have a more powerful version of the Pratt & Whitney R2800 radial engine and was to be fitted with such features as a raised pilot's cockpit canopy, an improved cockpit arrangement and wingtip drop tanks. If produced, the unglazed nose version would have been designated A-26G and the glazed nose version A-26H. However, in October 1945, the USAF concluded that there were enough A-26 aircraft to meet post-war needs, consequently, the A-26Z version was not produced. JD-1. U.S. Navy version with one A-26B, AAFSER No. 44 to 34217, and one A-26C, AAFSER No. 44 to 35467, redesignated during World War II, post-war, 150 surplus A-26s for use by land-based Navy utility squadrons, VU, as target tugs and later, drone directors, designated JD-1D, and general utility aircraft. In 1962, the JD-1 and JD-1D were redesignated UB-26J and DB-26J respectively. YB-26K. On-mark engineering prototype for refurbished attack bomber, modifications included rebuilt, strengthened wings, enlarged tail assembly, new R2800-103W engines with reversible propellers/propeller spinners, dual controls, wingtip tanks, newer avionics, and increased hardpoint/armament enhancements. B-26K. On-mark engineering conversions of 40 B-26BS or TB-26BS with 2 B-26CS and a single JB-26C. Changes included fitting of 2,500 HP, 1,900 kilowatts, R2800-52W engines with no propeller spinners and the 6-wing guns deleted. During operations in Vietnam, in May 1966, the aircraft were reassigned the old attack designation of A-26A. The A-26s were retired in 1969 when they had reached the safe limits of allotted flying time. RB-26L 2 RB-26CS, 44 to 34,718 and 44 to 35,782, modified for night photography missions. B-26N. Unofficial designation applied to B-26S operated by the French Air Force, Armée de l'Air, in Algeria as night fighters. These aircraft were modified B-26CS fitted with AIMKX radar taken from obsolete Meteor NF-11 night fighters, 2 under-wing gun packs each with two 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 Browning machine guns and SNEB rocket pods. Third-party civil variants. Since 1945, over 300 A-26s have been on the FAA U.S. Civil Aircraft Register. Perhaps up to 100 of those were probably only registered for ferry flights from U.S. Air Force bases such as Davis-Monthan AFB, AZ, and Hill AFB, UT to civil airports and stored as candidates for sale on the civil or overseas military markets. The initial main civil uses were as executive personnel transports with minimal modifications such as removal of military features, bomb bay doors sealed shut, passenger entry stairs in bomb bay, and the conversion of the fuselage to accept 6 to 8 passengers. Improvements developed considerably until the early 1960s, when purpose-built executive types such as the turboprop Gulfstream I started to become available. During the mid-1950s, A-26s were tested and used as air tankers for suppression of forest and wildland fires, and may have briefly used borate-based retardants, hence the inaccurate and unofficial term borate bombers. Borate was soon discontinued due to its undesirable ecologic effects, replaced with retardant mixtures of water, clays, fertilizers, and red dyes. That use of A-26s on USDA contracts was discontinued in major regions by about 1973, when many of the A-26 air tankers then found willing purchasers in Canada. Much early development of conversions was carried out by Grand Central Aircraft, whose drawings and personnel were taken up by the On-Mark Engineering Company of Van Nuys, California from about 1955. By the 1960s, On-Mark had obtained an exclusive license from Douglas Aircraft Company for manufacture and sale of parts for A-26s. The On-Mark Executive, 1956, the On-Mark Marketeer, 1957, and the more radical pressurized On-Mark Marksman, 1961, were products of this effort. The next most significant conversion was the Rock Island Monarch 26, while less numerous and more basic conversions for executive operations were carried out by Wold Engineering, L.B. Smith Aircraft Corp., R.G. Letourneau Inc., Rhodesbury Company, and Lockheed Aircraft Service Incorporated. Garrett Air Search used two A-26 variants as test beds for turbine engines. See also XA-26F above. Specifications: A-26B-15DL Invader. General characteristics: Crew, 3. Length, 50 feet 0 in, 15.24 m. Wingspan, 70 feet 0 in, 21.34 m. Height, 18 feet 3 in, 5.64 m. Wing area, 540 feet superscript 2, 50 square meters. Empty weight, 22,850 pounds, 10,365 kilograms. Loaded weight, 27,600 pounds, 12,519 kilograms. Max takeoff weight, 35,000 pounds, 15,900 kilograms. Power plant, 2 times Pratt & Whitney R2800-27 double wasp radial engine, 2000 HP, 1500 kilowatts, each. Performance: maximum speed, 355 miles per hour, 308 knots, 570 kilometers per hour. Range, 1,400 miles, 1,200 nmi, 2,300 kilometers. Service ceiling, 22,000 feet, 6,700 m. Rate of climb, 1,250 feet/min, 6.4 m/s. Wing loading, 51 lb/foot superscript 2, 250 kg/m superscript 2. Power/mass, 0.145 hp/lb, 108 w/kg. Armament. Guns. 6 or 8 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 Browning machine guns in solid, all-purpose nose, or 2 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 machine guns in glass bombardier nose. Up to 8 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 machine guns paired in 4 optional under-wing pods, or 3 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 machine guns in each outer wing panel. 2 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 machine guns in remote-controlled dorsal turret. 2 0.50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 machine guns in remote-controlled ventral turret. Rockets, up to 10 5-inch, 12.7 cm, HVAR rockets on zero-length launch pylons, 5 under each outer wing panel. Bombs, up to 6,000 pounds, 2,700 kilograms, capacity, 4,000 pounds, 1,800 kilograms, in the bomb bay plus 2,000 pounds, 910 kilograms, carried externally on underwing hardpoints. Notable appearances in media. Main article, Aircraft in Fiction A26/B26 Invader. In July 2005, the archaeological television programme Time Team of the UK's Channel 4, along with members of RAF Milham Museum, took part in a major project to excavate the crash sites of 2 A-26 Invader aircraft that had collided shortly after takeoff over marshes close to the then USAF Bad 2 airbase at Warden in Lancashire on November 29, 1944. The aircraft, A-26B-10 DT-43 to 22,298 and A-26B-15 DT-43 to 22,336, had been en route to Bretigny, Oise, in northern France to take up service with the 641st Bombardment Squadron of the 409th Bombardment Group. Role: ground attack, light bomber. Manufacturer: Douglas Aircraft Company. First flight July 10, 1942. Retired 1980 Colombian Air Force. Primary users: United States Army Air Forces, United States Air Force, United States Navy, French Air Force. Number built 2503. Unit cost $242,595 US, 1942. Variants on Mark Executive, Marketeer, and Marksman.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.